All right, welcome to the show, everybody. We got a show for you. I'm Donald W. Moore. I started Get Off My Lawn Records. Looks like I've been trying to get this off the ground since like 2007, but we're off the ground. We're doing some cool stuff. The Jazz Destroyer stuff is now on iTunes and Google Play. We confirmed that today. So if you got your phone or you want to listen to something in the background, I always recommend open up a new tab, listen to the Jazz Destroyers while listening to the podcast. It's a great way to help us out. We get a lot of watch time that way. And then it's a soundtrack for the show, right? I don't really do a lot of soundtracks. So that's me. That's who the bleep I am. Who the bleep are you?
Well, my name is Steven. I am not a doctor, but there is one in theaters right now with my name, so that's very exciting.
Is that Doctor Strange's name?
Doctor Strange's name is Steven. Yes,
Hey.
Dr. Stephen Strange.
Which, if you've been paying attention the last couple of weeks, you would have known.
Right.
I did cover that.
Steven, point upwards with your left hand. Right there, I'm going to put a link to the video where we talk about the Doctor Strange release. Right? So just above his finger. Steven, you've been on the show 3 times before?
That
Twice.
sounds about right. It all blurs together, but sure.
It blurs together. It's just, hey, come watch the train wreck with us.
Yes.
I don't think we've had one where we haven't had a technical difficulty yet.
I think the first one.
No, because the first one, the audio screwed up. That's why we're running
That's
two.
right.
That's why we're running 2 recorders. We got the computer
That's
recording, and we got a
right.
backup field recorder in case there's a failure. Who the bleep are you?
I know you just had a birthday this week, but if you really don't know who the bleep I am, then we need to have a talk.
It's not for me. It's for the audience. Who are you?
I am the one who's stuck with you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, if they don't know who I am by now, then they need to go back and watch the other videos.
That's true.
'Cause
And
really, there's only so many ways I can say that he and I share the same taste in jewelry.
yeah, that's true. Steven, put up your left hand again. We're gonna put a link to the full episode playlist. We have a playlist on the YouTube channel where you can just literally let it run in the background for hours on end and listen to me prattle on. So doesn't that sound fun? Well, there you go. But the nice thing is she cracks jokes every episode, like within 2 minutes of each episode, about how you're stuck with me. Do you regret the decision?
Only on days that end with Y?
Oh. Oh. Oh,
Seriously,
sick burn.
you opened yourself up for that one.
Brutal.
Brutal. And who the bleep are you?
I'm Ty.
You are Ty.
I am
I kicked that.
the guy
You
who
did.
doesn't have time for your shit.
We try not to curse on the show.
My one and only, I promise.
I apologize to the audience. I mean, I know that there are kids that might watch. So what happened was on Halloween just went by, and if you follow the Jazz Destroyers or Get Off My Lawn Records, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, you would notice that I was sitting out on the front porch all night with a sign that says GetOffMyLawnRecords.com, Happy Halloween, as I handed out candy to the kids. So I assume a couple of them are watching. So we don't condone that language, but let's be honest, we're all adults. So
yeah.
And if any of them are watching, we still have Halloween candy left if
Yeah.
they want to come by.
we have a lot of Halloween candy. How much Halloween candy do you buy each year?
How do you want that number, in bags or pieces?
Pounds.
I don't have it in pounds.
I think there's 20 pounds of candy left.
When I calculated, I had bought somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,700 pieces of candy.
17. And when the kids come by, I'm taking whole handfuls. I'm like, here, take a bunch of candy. And the parents are looking at me like, you're going to give my kid diabetes. And I'm like, I'm sorry, she just buys so much candy. Though next year, we're going to do branded candy. We're going to have GetOffMyLawnRecords.com Smarties or something. It'll be fun.
Nice.
I say
As long
Smarties.
as it's not those circus peanut things.
Oh, the
God, no.
circus peanuts are awful. Almost as bad as candy corn.
That's a death match right there.
It
For
is
which one can kill you faster?
It is quite the death match.
But the apple candy corn is very good.
The apple
That's
candy
really
corn
good.
is pretty good. Though what I like is these, what is that, caramel apple Twizzlers that we got?
Yes.
Oh, those are great.
Ooh.
It's like a Twizzler with like a filling, because you know how Twizzlers are hollow. They like fill it with sugary awfulness, but it's so good. And I'm just going to keep kicking this all episode.
You're going to keep kicking the
We're going to
camera.
find a better place for this. I'm going to back up just a hair, so
Okay.
maybe I'll quit kicking that.
Okay.
All right.
So welcome to the show. That's who the bleep we are. Everybody here is part of the Get Off My Lawn Records family. Steven shoots video for us. He's been on the podcast. His podcast is on the label. We're going to start distributing that through the Bandcamp.
Which is
And-
very exciting. Any new venue, potential new audience is always fun.
And it's a nice way to just get on there and there's no ads and it's just a real simple way to go listen to it. You know, you can do it from the phone. Some people have a tough time. But we're going to start so we have somebody helping out now with some of the content for the website. She confirmed that our podcast section of the website is an RSS feed, and you were telling me to get your podcast through iTunes, you need to host it on your own website through an RSS feed, right?
That's correct.
And then you're what you and I were gonna do, not right now because nobody wants to watch us
No.
sit there and fuss with that, but you and I will take an evening like after you do Escape from Ignorance, and you will help me. I'll get you to, because you do that for yours.
Correct.
So Escape from Ignorance, you can find it on iTunes
and Stitcher
yeah.
and Google Play. And yeah, I'm trying to get it on as many platforms as humanly possible.
And you know what I was thinking is we could host it on the YouTube channel. I could put it up. I could put them up like once a week as they come out. The nice thing with this channel is because we do nearly daily content. That's why everybody should go subscribe. We do nearly daily content, so I just am constantly putting stuff up. So there's a recurring audience there. So that's another thing. We'll talk about that another time. So that's who the bleep we are. We are looking for help. If anybody wants to volunteer, do some fan art, you know, we're looking for content for the website, basically. We're also looking for help sharing it, passing it around. You know, show your friends what's up, because we're just trying to make good music and show it to people. And I try to make sure everything... We're going to talk about kind of how things are available through Get Off My Lawn Records in our announcement section. But we make things available in all sorts of ways, so everybody, even if you got a bunch of money or if you're broke, there's something for you. So that's kind of how we do this, and then we try to do it in a very transparent way. So awesome. So what's next? Section 2, our Do You Give a Bleep, our news and notes, our tids and bits. How many stories do you compile each week?
5.
That's right. So
Ish.
5-ish, right? So each Monday we put them out as individual clips, and it's also on the podcast. So if somebody's listening on Saturday or Sunday, if somebody's listening to the full video on Sunday, they'll hear these, but then they also come out again on Monday.
Okay.
And so
That's good. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, and so anybody who's watching this right now, hit subscribe so that you'll see them every week, and you won't have to come back, and maybe you'll learn stuff about things you didn't know before, because isn't that why we're all on YouTube anyway? Is to learn stuff?
And videos of cats.
Oh, I love cat videos. I'm sure Regal Cat will make an appearance. She has made an appearance in every previous episode of this podcast. So what's our first story?
Well, first one's kind of a 2-for-1.
A 2-for-1. We're getting a bargain.
You are. You really are. But kind of, sort of, not really. If you're in the U.S., we got 2 events this week. Number 1, Daylight Savings Time ends 2 a.m. Sunday.
2 a.m. Sunday.
So since it's fall, you'll set your clocks back 1 hour.
So basically, if you're watching this right now and you haven't set your clock back, turn it back now.
You're going to be early to everything.
You're going to be... Are you early? So I get
Yeah.
to sleep in on
You get
Monday?
You get to sleep in an hour.
Oh, that's...
Because instead of being, like, say, 1:30, it'll be 12:30.
Let me just bask in this light for a minute, knowing I'm going to get an extra hour of sleep. Okay. Daylight savings time.
Daylight
Make sure to
savings
change
time.
your clocks.
And make sure to check and replace your batteries and your smoke detectors as well.
Yeah, no kidding. We had that smoke detector in our house. The battery just needed replacing. We do an alarm. I mean, obviously, I have this place locked up like Fort Knox. And we have this alarm system that's hooked up to the smoke detector, and the battery went out. The panel starts beeping. I felt like I was on an episode of Lost, because every 6 hours I had to go push the button saying, yes, I know the alarm is getting low on battery. Well, a shout out to Vivint. They came out and they replaced the whole smoke detector. We've had it for a few years, and apparently they expire. So if you've had your
Yes.
smoke detectors for more than a few years, unfortunately, you're going to have to replace them.
I
Makes
have
sense.
no functioning smoke detectors in my house.
Oh, that's like a
Oh,
code
you
violation.
should- you
You
should
rent,
go-
right? Your landlord should provide them.
Well, the problem was the smoke detector would go off literally every time the oven was turned on, no matter what.
That's
Then-
probably
then
a problem with
replace
your
it.
oven.
Or it's in a bad place. Like if the smoke detector is too close to the oven, then yeah.
Yeah, put it out in the hallway.
Move it a little farther away and you should be okay.
Don't think I have the power to move it, but we'll look into it.
Yeah.
We should probably have a smoke detector, but yeah, that's
You should have multiple, since it's what, a 3-bedroom place?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, smoke detector. No, when we bought this house, there were smoke detectors everywhere, and they were all hardwired, and yet they'd still beep at me every time the battery went out.
No,
And I was
ours,
like,
ours
so-
weren't hardwired.
Yeah, they're wired
No.
into the wall.
No, they're attached to the wall. Like all smoke detectors
There's
should be.
cables that come out of them. I've taken down a couple of them. They're actually wired into the electrical
But
system.
but they have backup batteries, and those are what needed to be replaced.
It's awful. You're constantly changing them. It's just.
Yes.
But I like it set up to the alarm, so then if it goes off, they can send the fire department if I'm not home.
Yes.
So
And then the second one is, again, if you're in the U.S., Election Day is Tuesday,
So if you're watching this on Sunday,
and you are registered to vote, please make sure you go vote on Tuesday. The lines may be long, especially if you go in the evening, but as long as you're in line before the polling place closes, they will still let you vote.
yep. And it should be noted you cannot vote by phone
Or by
Or-
text.
or by
Yes.
text. There
Or
seems to be-
online.
there seems to be some misleading stuff going around. One of the candidates actually said to mark your calendars for November 28th. So if you're voting for that candidate, go ahead and mark your calendars for November 28th.
Mine was Trump. Let's not pretend like Hillary Clinton is stupid enough to tell people the wrong day to vote on.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. But at this point,
See, he was thinking November 28th, because November 28th is the day that he's in court for a fraud case.
that's right.
And isn't he also up for another more criminal case?
Yeah,
Yep.
he's got that rape of a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that goes. Ultimately, though, I have gotten to a point with this election where I don't believe any of it and all of it. Like, it's just we're so flooded with social media and with advertising, and these are professionals. These are people who know how to get to you and manipulate you, and then you start going, yeah, that guy's Hitler, or yeah, that woman deserves to be in prison. And I don't know.
Except if you actually use the tools of scientific analysis to weed through the information, it's clear that guy really is almost Hitler, and she does not deserve to be in prison.
Yes.
Those are like, there's disputes, there's differences of opinion, but this is why everyone needs to listen to my Escape from Ignorance podcast, because I'm teaching people how to tell the difference between BS and reality. And in this election, there's really no choice. If you're undecided, it's only because you are not trying hard enough to get at the facts.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken Bone. Thank you. But I don't know. I've actually gotten to a point where I've looked into it. I agree that there are parallels in the rhetoric, and absolutely that scares me. But
Right.
I'm not sure. I mean, we have a 3-tiered government. We have three parts. We have checks and balances. I don't think he could enact any of that stuff that he's talking about.
Well, I don't think he can either, but the fact that he can't will only further enrage his supporters, because his whole campaign is built on hollow promises that would be impossible to implement by a competent person, doubly so by someone who clearly doesn't understand how the government works in the first place.
Right.
And
Though, as a Bernie Sanders guy, I want to point out that I love hollow promises because incrementalism. If you go in, the one thing Trump is he wrote a whole book on it. Well, he didn't write it, but the one thing is when you go into a negotiation, if they're going to offer 0 and you want 10, you don't go into a negotiation saying I want 10. You go in saying I want 20. And then you can meet in the middle. Or you say, I want 30, and then they can really feel like they're getting a deal. Yeah, no matter what, this country is headed towards a really weird time. I'm really worried about what's going to happen on November 9, because there's all those Oath Keepers and all of these fringe right, alt-right guys that are talking about taking up arms, and I'm like, hey, you know, Democrats are armed too, right? Like, this is just going to be a civil war. That won't be good.
I think that the number of people who are threatening discord of that nature is very small, but so vocal that the media blows it completely out of proportion. I
maybe true.
expect no matter who, like, if Hillary wins, I expect there'll be at least one idiot Trumpkin who does something horrible that disgraces us all as a nation. But I think that then it'll be over, and then we'll spend the next 4 years with them crying very loudly like the sad, poor, pathetic losers that they are, and not actually helping govern the country in any way. And if they just keep being whiny little babies for 4 years, the sane people in the country will realize how completely detached from reality and common sense and any semblance of public goodwill that their voices will eventually die out. That's
Maybe.
my
One
only
can
hope.
hope.
My
But
concern is that
if Trump
they will
wins-
actually die out. Like, that's my concern.
But if Trump wins, his bullying nature will infect everything in so many deeply destructive ways.
In many
It's
ways,
like he's the worst possible role model for young boys, and he is demon incarnate for young girls. And we, as a sane, compassionate nation, cannot let that man in the White House. If you haven't voted yet, get to the polls. Like,
Yes.
it is a moment of national urgency if there has ever been one.
I get it.
And if you are registered to vote and they're having trouble finding you in the registry, you are allowed to fill out a proxy ballot.
I think it's provisional. I think it's called a provisional
Is
ballot.
it a provisional ballot? I think
Proxy
I
is
think
when
it
you
depends
give
on
it,
the.
is when you're giving your vote to somebody else to cast on
No,
your
no.
behalf.
I think they call it different things in different areas, but it's the same
Yeah,
concept.
that's
It's
it.
basically, it's set aside until they can verify that you are who you are and that you are registered and that you should be registered. So you still get to vote. You just don't. It's not going to be quite the same. So, but make sure they give that to you because you are entitled to that.
So
the
I
rules
do
are
wanna-
different in every state, so
Yeah.
everyone should do the research.
Yes.
I want to point this out. I think it's obvious we're all left-leaning, but I certainly respect a conservative viewpoint.
I do too.
Right.
Sadly, Donald Trump does not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
I think that's
we could
the
all
real
agree
problem.
on
Is
that.
Trump is neither a proper liberal or a proper conservative. He is a bomb-throwing bully who saw an opportunity, and he's trying to con us all.
But the reality is that go vote.
Yes.
We have strong opinions in this room. We have strong opinions. And by the way, I used to call them trumpeters, but that's disrespectful to all of my
To
friends
actual
that play
trumpeters.
Yes.
right? Josh Peters on the Freeform Fridays. He's great. He plays trumpet. He plays oud. He plays drums. He's great. I was compiling the best of the best of Freeform Fridays 2016. We're gonna release that here pretty soon.
I was always so jealous of the trumpet players when I played trombone because they got all the hero lines. Like, everybody knew when the trumpets were playing, but the trombones always got stuck with the supporting stuff that no one could ever really.
Oh, then you were playing
Pull
bad
out.
music because I played trombone and we got the good stuff.
Agreed.
All right, maybe my beef is with my band director.
How many trombonists have we had come through this room? John played trombone on episode 2. It was like, oh, we're all. Did you play trombone in high school?
Nope, sadly.
All right, get out. No, I'm kidding. All right.
Musically inclined, I am not.
All right. What's next?
Next. Congratulations to the Chicago Cubs
Congratulations to the Chicago
for
Cubs.
ending their 108-year wait for another win in the World Series.
And a shout out to my friend Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin's Facebook picture right now is him standing on Wrigley Field in the outfield, holding the trophy. I'm so jealous, but not because it's the Cubs. I had no skin in the game. I was kind of hoping the Indians would win just because I grew up watching Major League, right? And Major League 2.
Love Major League.
At one point, I was just screaming at the TV, "Just put in Charlie Sheen!"
He's very bad
He
to
was in
steal
the
Joker's
stands.
drum.
He was in the
Very bad.
stands. They could have put Wild Thing in, but they didn't.
And to me, like, 2016 has been a year of surprises, but the most surprising thing is the fact that I cared about baseball for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Because I'm not really a sports guy in general. I love the Olympics. I could give or take all other sports. But I know a great underdog story when I see one, and it was a joy watching the Cubs finally break the curse.
Yes.
Do you know what the Olympics are classified as?
What's that?
They have the same classification as the X Games. What classification would that be? Can we guess? It's called a sports festival.
All
Like,
right,
you
that
know, we
makes
have
sense.
South by Southwest and ACL. We have music festivals. The Olympics, the X Games are sports festivals. What I want is somebody in the comments to let me know if there's any other sports festivals that I'm not aware of, because those are the only two I'm aware of. But yeah, the Cubs, they won.
They did?
I fell asleep.
You did. I
fell
tried to wake
asleep
you up.
around the top of the seventh, or no, during the seventh inning stretch. That's when I fell asleep. Apparently there was a rain delay. They tied it back up. They came back. They won.
10 innings. Yeah.
I was just asleep the whole time.
It was a good game. You missed it.
I wish
well.
I could watch sports, but the only sport I can really watch is hockey, because if it doesn't have one guy punching another guy, I'm just not interested in it.
We love hockey. I think it's if you watch last week's episode with Ask a Canadian, there was some discussion of hockey, but we don't talk about hockey that much. But I'm a great big old New York Rangers fan.
Yes.
I have a real problem with the sports for every game lasts 3 hours and has a maximum score of 1-0.
Hey, first off, the maximum score in hockey is not 1-0. The average score isn't even near 1-0. The average score is more like 3-3.
Oh, how much more exciting.
It's
And
extremely exciting.
There's bloodshed.
There's bloodshed, and there's not very many commercials.
And
that's
the
part-
refs get injured.
I can appreciate the fights. I really can. But I'd rather just watch a highlight reel of that afterwards than actually sit through the game hoping that something happens. My team sport is rugby sevens, because each game only lasts like 20 minutes and it's a whole bunch of guys like continuously tackling each other.
Well, think of
And
hockey
that's
as
fun.
3 20-minute games, because each period's 20 minutes.
Regal Cat loves hockey.
Regal Cat loves hockey. Hello, sweetie. Oh, you're liking Steven today. I still found that funny on the first episode. It was, Steven, who the bleep are you? And he said, I speak cat. And then 20 minutes later, he's trying to pick up the cat, and she wanted nothing to do with it.
But in my defense, that was anticipated, right? Like,
That's true.
Most cats do not like to be picked up, and you kind of have to give it a shot to see if they're okay with it.
And she's good about asking. All right, what's next?
Okay, this one you will have to literally pardon my French, because I don't speak French and I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize
Should I read
to
it?
any actual French players. No.
Right.
Sting is going to play the reopening of the Bataclan music venue in Paris the day before the first anniversary of the terror attacks that killed 90 concertgoers.
Good. Excellent.
Nice.
He's
The last
Wow.
thing we can do is let them win.
Right.
More concerts.
and he's going to play Saturday, November 12th.
November 12th.
Yes, the venue has been shut since Islamic gunmen stormed a gig by U.S. rock band Eagles of Death Metal as part of a coordinated attack
That's right.
around Paris on November 13th, 2015. They killed 130 people.
The Eagles of Death Metal are great, by the way. Everybody should go check them out.
And Sting has said that all revenue from his show will be donated to Life for Paris and 13th November Fraternity Verity. I'm hoping I said that right.
Wow. Okay,
Did I? No. How bad did I butcher it?
pretty bad.
Okay. Well, anyway, he's donating it all to charity for Paris.
Good.
So,
That's good of him.
Way to go, Sting. Sting also apparently practices tantric meditation.
he practices tantric sex, dear.
There you go. Same thing. Get into a mood. Anyway, what's next?
Do you give a bleep about any of this?
No, I don't give a bleep about any of this.
You don't care about anything. Okay.
It's
Well, maybe-
you give a bleep, but I mean, we give a bleep. We don't give a bleep. It's I don't.
Okay, well, maybe you'll care about this next one.
All right, what's this one?
According to a writer for British Vogue, cleavage is over.
Cleavage is not. I give a strong bleep, sir. I give a strong bleep about this one.
Have you gone for a walk outside in any city? Cleavage is not over.
Cleavage is totally not over.
The writer was citing sagging Wonder Bra sales. And yes, the pun was intended.
That's because they're not comfortable, right? I
and-
can't imagine a
No,
Wonder Bra's
no
comfortable.
bra is comfortable.
Oh, somebody leave a comment. You tell me what bra is comfortable.
Maybe
in
a
the
sports
comments.
bra is comfortable, but your standard bra, and especially a Wonder Bra with all that padding and wires, and no, that's not comfortable.
I fail to see the correlation between
There's no need
sagging
for
sales
bra,
of one type of
ladies.
bra and cleavage as a fashion statement. Like,
Yeah.
that
Low
feels
lunging
like
shirts
No,
are-
the Wonder Bra, the one that actually pushes them up and together, and yeah.
sure.
And also, apparently, Prada is coming out with a new cleavage-free corset.
Why would you strap yourself into that?
That sounds like about as much use as non-alcoholic beer. It's like you're defying the core principle of why this thing was invented in the first place.
That's true. Corsets really were like lift,
Yes.
push, pop.
Yes. Well, apparently, women on Twitter agree with you, gentlemen.
Really.
Yes.
They're like, we want to show them off.
yes.
Good on you, ladies.
They've been
The
coming
world
back,
thanks you.
basically mocking the writer.
Well, and it's because it should be everyone's choice, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the duty of us as men is to discreetly stare for a second and then move on and not be a complete creep about it.
Is that the duty?
Yes.
And you all fail.
We really are bad at it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying I'm good at it.
Just
I'm just
quit
saying
writing
that's,
stuff
that's,
on with
that's the
glitter.
ideal that we should be striving for.
No,
is-
okay. If somebody has written on their chest with glitter,
Yeah.
then you're allowed to stare because they're asking to be stared at that point.
What if we all just agree to like a social contract where every guy is allowed to gawk for 1 second and then he has to make eye contact the rest of the time?
I don't know a single guy that'd actually stick to the 1 second.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think like there's a way to, admire someone you find attractive of the opposite sex without making them feel uncomfortable and without doing anything stupid and pervy, right? I think that it should
As long as it's consensual.
right. But it's like if you walk down the street wearing a
Stupid and
really sexy
pervy can be
outfit,
fun,
it
but
should be okay for me to
consensual.
look at you and think, damn, and then move on with my life. And everyone should be okay with that. But if I'm just like, that's a real problem, and the lady has
Yes.
every right to be offended and be like, hey, dude,
I think you're also
Come on.
not allowed to point it out how much you're enjoying it because that's catcalling, right? If you think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm told catcalling is sexist.
Yes.
And so I being male, I just try to go, okay, I won't do that.
You are, however, allowed to compliment her shoes.
that
That's-
never
that
really
is-
goes wrong.
that is
Wait,
always
I
acceptable.
compliment women's shoes all the time because I love women's shoes. They have all the awesome shoes. They have these strappy things and they're colorful. And I'm just like, those are great shoes.
Well, there you go.
I think most women's shoes look like ankle torture devices.
They are.
Well, I think the high heel was developed so women couldn't run away as fast.
And no, the high
That
heel was
makes
actually
sense,
developed for
actually.
men.
For men?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, old timey boots. Boots had really high heels, 6 inches or more.
Oh,
Yeah, but no, it was developed. I forget which country in Europe, but for like a really short king or nobleman or something.
they
Yeah.
should have just given the Spice Girl flats. Just give platforms.
Yep,
Platform shoes need to come back.
they do.
It'd be
And those
funny to watch
platforms-
people trying to walk around on them and fall.
Hey, we're going to have a whole new batch of YouTube fail blogs with that.
Ooh.
That'd be great.
See, I had plenty of luck walking on platforms.
Here's what I really love, though. You know, in this election season, I have been accused of the C word, being communist. Right? And what I love is Prada is making a go at it. They're saying, all right, we're going to try this. And then if nobody buys it, they won't make it. And if some people buy it and some people don't, they'll make less of them and probably charge more for them because they're making less. But at the same time, like, good on them for trying something.
Yeah, it's the market will
It's a
tell
bad
you
idea,
whether or
though.
not
It's a
it works.
bad idea.
Well, judging ideas by whether or not they conform to a specific political label is like the worst possible way to judge anything. Like,
Yes.
just base it on the results. Try something, document it, and then see if it works or not.
Mm-hmm.
And if it works, great. If not, try something different.
Yeah.
But people who obsess over labels always miss the truth because you get lost in a fog of ideology and you can never figure out what's real. If all you
Right.
care about is whether or not this fits into your,
Their
framework.
preconceived notions of
So remember that when you're cruising Facebook, listening to this in the background. Also, if you haven't had a chance, hit the red subscribe button below. We do this every single week. And it nearly kills me. Though I've got the editing and things kind of streamlined, it's still really a lot of work.
Well, I'm impressed with your ability to maintain it as far as you have. Because
Yeah.
it is
Mm-hmm.
definitely
I wonder
an
what the
undertaking.
average lifespan of a podcast is. I bet we could look into that. Maybe somebody in the comments will know.
Well, I listen to a ton of podcasts, and
Yeah.
they're and I'd be surprised if there's really an average because I feel like the nature and format of podcasts is all over the place.
That's
Yeah.
true. Like, we don't really know what the heck we're doing. I just kind of made I was like, these 7 sections will be funny, and I could chop those up into daily videos. But then I also put out the full video so that, you know, you can just kind of let it run in the background. But I try to make the content available in bite-sized chunks and hey, you know, chill out and
And it's
drink a beer.
appreciated. I mean, you know,
You've been listening
I
to 'em.
listen to the bite-sized chunks because I started out trying to listen to the full-length one, and when I was riding around, you know, Austin traffic, like sitting for an hour in traffic's no thing, right?
Right.
And then I would get like halfway through it and go to pick it up the next morning and be like, where'd I leave off? My stuff reset.
So YouTube, with the phone at least, and with the computer, if I stop a video in the middle of it, YouTube is pretty good about saving its spot.
My battery likes to die a lot.
Ah, that
and
would
when
do
my
it.
battery dies,
Yep.
it loses its place.
Though we don't upload Everybody Gets a Trophy. I stopped uploading Everybody Gets a Trophy. Nobody was watching it, and it's one of those things that's only good in context, and that's the very end of the podcast. So that's really a special one just for the people who sit through the whole episode. All right, what's next?
The next. The Simpsons has just been renewed by Fox for an unprecedented 29th and 30th season on
2 more
Friday.
years?
2 more years.
You think 30 is going to be the magic number? You think they're going to hang it up?
No,
Probably not.
or it might be jaded and cynical of me, but so long as the writers don't threaten them, don't walk, it's kind of an Aqua Teen situation where they spent all but the first 2 seasons of that show. The writers tried to get Cartoon Network to cancel the show.
Is that why they got so weird and awesome?
Uh-huh.
The Moonanites.
It just... They were trying to do anything and lowering the quality of their writing, even just trying to get Cartoon Network to cancel them so they could work on something else.
My dad totally owns a dealership. Sorry.
That would explain why I never liked Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, yeah. It's a great show. 30 years of Simpsons.
30 years. It'll bring the show to 669 episodes, becoming the largest number of episodes for any scripted TV show, breaking the record held by Gunsmoke that aired 635 episodes.
BS. Doctor Who has over 888 episodes.
Doctor Who doesn't count
That
because
keeps
Doctor Who has
breaking
different
up.
doctors.
That's...
It's not continuous.
But no, it's one continuous continuity. Every
It's not
single
American.
episode in the entire 800 plus episode
What
run
about-
is the same story.
What about
Not
soap
American.
operas? Is it not counting shows that started as radio shows and then transitioned to TV shows? Because what was it, Bold and the Beautiful? Well, I had like 30 years, 40, 50 years on television.
Well,
yeah, but
The
those
Simpsons
are
coming up on 30.
dailies, though. Those aren't weeklies. I think they're making a distinction between those.
Maybe
Gotcha.
that would be it. And then maybe Doctor because Doctor Who's had gaps.
Yeah, there was
Sure.
like between the 70s and the 90s, there was just like this 20-year period where they
Regal Cat.
just hung it up for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. But they also may just not be counting British stuff as well.
Maybe that might be
Because by
true.
American weekly standards, I would not be surprised if Simpsons is the top of the
Yeah.
pile there. But I think the Simpsons' like true glory days are behind them, and yet every season has at least a couple of really awesome episodes. So as long as they keep up that rate of occasional awesomeness, then let them go as long as they
Yeah.
want.
Speaking of, this is a series that has produced a movie that made more than 500 million.
500 million that movie made.
Theme parks, countless yellow merchandise, and
a
an,
great Lego set.
and an online video site that showcases each and every episode.
Is it free?
I am not aware.
Somebody leave a comment to that online video site. I'm totally down to listen to Simpsons episodes in the background while I edit
I can
video.
find all the Treehouse of Terrors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Treehouse of Terrors. That's right. We just
Yeah.
had Halloween.
It's been dubbed the greatest TV show ever, studied in universities, and has won 32 Emmys.
I disagree that it's the greatest TV show ever. That is Battlestar Galactica.
It's been called
new
the
one.
greatest.
the new one.
It's been on air since 1989, and it still brings in solid ratings for Fox.
That's true.
I will reserve judgment on the greatest TV show ever until Game of Thrones ends.
Fair enough. Still Battlestar Galactica. All right, what's next?
I would agree with you if I didn't have so many issues with the last 5 episodes. I love the series until the last 5 episodes, and then I feel like the writers just did not
Of
know how
BSG?
to wrap it up. Yeah.
It's hard to wrap up. Deep Space Nine had the same problem. It was hard to wrap
On
up.
Deep Space Nine.
I love Deep Space Nine.
I love it until the final season, where
Benjamin
I think
Sisko is my favorite captain.
completely loses it. The finale of Deep Space Nine is the most unsatisfying finale of any TV show, except for maybe The X-Files.
Or Enterprise, because there wasn't really a finale. They got canceled.
Wait, the original X-Files or this last season that they did last year?
Either.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of
Ty, what's your greatest TV show?
my greatest, you mentioned it. I actually love Enterprise. He's as
Been a
my,
long
it's my personal favorite Star Trek series.
Scott Bakula, he's great.
He is awesome. Captain
He's great.
Archer.
I've not actually watched Enterprise. It's the only Star Trek I haven't seen, mostly because I was so offended by that stupid theme song.
It's a terrible theme song.
I've had a lot of people tell me that it's great, and I've heard enough people tell me that now that I'm finally starting to think
You got to
about
get to like
watching it.
episode 5 though, because the
Yeah.
first couple episodes they had a hard time figuring out like, oh, should we just make this all about how hot T'Pol is?
But yeah, sell me on it.
The thing is, it got its bad reputation because of a small group of fans who were extremely upset about minor changes. Like, you got the first encounters with the Romulans,
Tell him, Steve Dave. Sorry.
and things like that is really what just pissed so many people off. And from there, it grew, and nobody actually stopped. Oh, I heard it wasn't any good, so didn't watch it. It's really good. It answers a whole lot of questions about how technologies and how things started, and you see through the 5 years of the show, you see advancements, you see the Federation come to be, you see all the stuff that was never really explained anywhere ever.
That's true, because there's a lot of Starfleet history and lore that's hinted at in all of the series that never really gets explored that much.
Right. Though Star Trek has an expanded universe. It's just not as popular of an expanded universe as Star Wars.
And the Star Trek EU, it takes place from Kirk's time up, with the
EU?
exception. Yeah, it's
Expanded
expanded universe.
Sorry.
There's no expanded universe stuff before or the original series, because Paramount and the writers and all for Star Trek are very stingy with their licensing, and they refuse to yield even the slightest bit of original timeline in licensing. So it's either after all the shows or
Or that's just it.
Yeah.
After all the shows.
Well, while we're talking about Star Trek, I have to give a shout out to the most recent movie, Star Trek Beyond, which I loved. It just came out on Blu-ray. I thought it was by far the best Star Trek movie since Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. I felt like it completely captured everything I loved about the original series.
We'll do a screening here at the house on the big projector.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I know people have issues with the remake series, and I
I
know
do.
Star Trek Into Darkness. I liked it more than some fans, but I acknowledge their complaints about it. Star Trek Beyond throws, like, it skips over every problem that you might have had with the remakes. I feel like it really captures everything that made people love Star Trek in the first place. It's beautifully done.
I don't know, because the problem I really had, especially with Into Darkness, where Abrams
Into Darkness is
really
the
made it on
second
my
one,
hit
right?
list. About 20 minutes into it, during the attack,
No spoilers.
yeah,
What's next?
that's where they lost me.
On that note,
But don't let the failure of that movie put you off at this one, because it's just
We're-
it's so good.
we're gonna
It's so
screen
good.
it. We'll screen it. All right, what's next? All right, what the bleep have you done for the label? Ty, what the bleep have you done for the label?
I've spread the Jazz Destroyers and this podcast everywhere. I've been accidentally having my phone on playing Jazz Destroyers label.
Awesome.
Will have my headset in, look like, and not understanding that it's unplugged as I blasted at people in HEB
Awesome.
and out and about. And I've actually been asked about it, and I've sent them to y'all. So hopefully y'all have had a
Nice.
couple of new subscriptions here in the last couple of days.
Much appreciated. So we've got like 3 people I consider to be part of the street team these days 4 people. We got Ty, we got Eugene, we got Jen, and we got Shaylin. And they're really out helping spread the word about what we're doing. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I really truly appreciate that.
And now I'm going to start telling them to, while they're listening to the podcast,
To listen to Freeform Fridays.
to put the Freeform Fridays list up too.
And then you'll have to like stop it for the MC Overlord ones because those are the only ones with lyrics. But yeah, it's
But they're not offensive lyrics.
no, but it would just jarble.
Okay.
It would be hard to understand either of them. Those MC Overlord Freeform Fridays, by the way, are out of this world.
Can't wait.
I had
Love them
to.
so much.
I've been compiling that best of Freeform Fridays, and I've just kind of like set limits. Like everybody who guests on it, only one of theirs is gonna make it onto the best of. So there's 2 MC Overlord videos, and there's one of those making it to the best of. I think there's 4 Harp by Andrea ones. One of those is making it onto the best
Okay.
of. So that's kind of how I'm doing it to keep it fair, because like I have to divvy out any money we make off of it to everybody.
Yeah.
So it's, but at the same time, I just didn't want it to become harp loaded or
Right.
and it's grueling. I still have to pick 3 more.
But you still
I
got
have a list.
2 months left. So
I want to get it done. Yeah, okay. So I've got the 12 picked, but it's gonna be 14 tracks, and the last 2 tracks are coming off of the next one, the Freeform Fridays You Shot. I haven't even begun to edit those.
I'm looking forward to those because that was a great show.
I'm looking forward to it too, and I want to give a shout out to Harold and Kenny Dorm's Backyard on this video as well as in the shout outs. Harold was like, hey man, because we shot that whole thing where Harold kind of talked about what was going on and what Diverse Arts Culture Works does. So I'm going to put a link in the description to go donate. It's coming up to the holiday season. If everybody can go find $5 to kick in, that'll help them go through for the next year. It turns out those live music licenses that the city does in Austin are hyper expensive.
yeah.
Not surprised given the the popularity of this place as a live music venue.
Yeah, that's true. It's just it's hard because it's an outdoor venue and they got to get the permits all the time. And
Right.
I think they get a discount because they're nonprofit, but either way, it's just hard to keep a place like that open because they're putting on the kind of music that they're not worried about. Hey, can you bring 100 people? We're going to
Yeah.
talk about that in a later section. So Ty, thank you for doing that, and I want to encourage everybody to hit the like button every video they see. That helps show the videos to other people. Hit the share button so you're telling some people about it. It's the only way we can get this off of the ground and get it going. We're up to 66 subscribers, I think.
Are we? Awesome.
We're doing pretty good. I've been trying to average 1 a day, and literally most of the time it's just me going, "Hey, you got your phone? Here, open up YouTube and subscribe to this channel, and it'll pop up when the next video comes up." Like, I'm doing this. I spent my birthday replying to my 100 Facebook notifications, going, "Hey, thank you," right? Because really, thank you, everybody, thank you. And I would just reply, and then I would mention the podcast and provide the link, and hey, please subscribe. And I swear I'm going to quit pestering all of my friends on Facebook about it once we hit 100. So get me off of their back by hitting subscribe. So, Steven, what the bleep have you done for the label?
Well, I've mostly been listening to the channel while I write Escape from Ignorance.
That's a good way
It's
to do
been
it.
really great background music.
And
'cause
you've written the next Escape from Ignorance. We're figuring out the next schedule for that.
It's a struggle. I was originally going to try to record one today before this show, but I have been beating my head against this most recent episode. Because it's not like, because my podcast is more like a lecture series, right? It's almost like I'm a professor trying to teach people how to think critically. And it's not easy to figure out the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my writing process is trying a bunch of different arguments, testing them out on various friends and seeing if it makes sense, and then coming back to the drawing board sometimes when you realize you've gone down the wrong path.
And I certainly shut you down the other day about my whole Bernie Sanders doesn't sound like he's lying thing. But that's okay. The election's coming. We're going to vote. We're going to move on with our lives.
But
Finally, thank
but you
God.
made a really interesting point, and even though we were talking about the election, this point was not really about the election, which is there are some people, like you can hear someone tell the truth,
Yep.
but think they're lying because of their They're just
presentation of
their
it.
presentation, and then you can hear someone just lie through their teeth but think they're telling the truth, and that's because of how our brains are wired.
Right.
And sadly,
that's the kind of stuff you get into in your podcast.
yeah, because the nature of that mental wiring has only really been understood by science in the past 20, 30 years, and it's only really understood in pretty high-level circles of education, and it hasn't filtered down to the common man. So
Well-
people still have this, he sounds trustworthy. He sets off my trustworthy sensor. Therefore, I will trust him.
I
And if
wanna
you
have a
haven't been
beer with him.
educated that you can't trust that sense, that you have to second guess yourself whenever you feel that way, then it's very easy to fall prey to cult leaders like Donald Trump. Because that's what he is at this point. Let's face it, he's a cult leader, nothing else.
It's true. It's true. Also, with cults, I almost got sucked into one. I've almost gotten sucked into a couple of them.
No, I grew up in
Yeah.
I am susceptible to them.
You are so very susceptible to them.
You had to pull the e-meter out of my hand.
I did.
I grew up in a cult. So that's probably why I set on this journey in the first place, because
Yeah.
I grew up in this profound indoctrination where I was only supposed to listen to these very few authority figures. And once you there was that moment of revelation in my life, where I realized that everything I had been taught was a lie. And once you have escaped from that, you become innately suspicious of everything.
Everything.
And the more research you do, the more you discover that it deserves your suspicion. And that the things that seem, if it's too good to be true, trust me, it is.
That's right. That's right. Did you ever have any run-ins with cults, Ty?
Cults? No. Trying to see how unoffensive I can put this.
Just heavily religious groups?
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten sucked into one?
No, but my parents have, and I was forced to deal with it.
Oh, that's a tough. It's tough because everybody gets hurt. I'm sure that made a noise. I'm sorry, everybody. It's just tough. But what have you done for the label this week?
I wrote your freaking contract.
You did. Thank you.
And I gotta say, the experience of writing a record contract on my iPhone was definitely a new one.
yeah,
Technology
technology
taking
also.
over everything.
Her,
will we
her
do
laptop's
tomorrow?
down,
Yeah.
and like
As in dead.
while she
As
was
in-
doing it, I was sitting in here editing video and working on other stuff. So it's not like we can share this machine. We're gonna get you a new machine.
We are.
You're
Now I
getting a
have to ask
Chromebook.
about her
No, I'm not
laptop.
getting a Chromebook.
You're totally getting a Chromebook.
No, I need something better than a Chromebook.
Well-
Chromebook is not powerful enough for what I'm gonna need.
I will get
So-
myself a Chromebook and let you use it to write my contracts.
Fine, but I have a better idea now of what I need, and I will know for sure on Monday.
Cool.
So
We're gonna find out. There may be
Yes.
news. Are we gonna talk about that on here or no?
maybe, I don't know yet.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yes, thank you for writing the contracts. Let me tell you what I've done for the label this week. So we released a new Freeform Fridays. Oh God, what was it called? Oh, the in-laws are coming.
Yeah, that was a
Yes.
good title.
If you put your hand up, point to the ceiling, there's gonna be a card right there that will direct you right to that video to have a listen. It's a fun. Okay, that's too much.
Thank you, Vanna.
Yeah.
Hey,
if-
role model right there.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. Vanna White is everybody's role model.
She's a witch, is what she is.
No, she's not.
Have you looked?
She's Glenda the Good Witch.
Have you looked at her? She's been doing that show for like 30 years.
Uh-huh.
The Magic of Makeup. She still looks like she's 24, 25.
She is clearly drawing power from the dark dimension to prolong her life.
You think she's just like bringing in handmaidens and sucking the life out
Blood
of
of
them
the
before each
innocent.
episode?
Blood of the Innocent's what she's doing. It's got to be.
So I did that. We've been working on GetOffMyLawnRecords.com, though this week has been a little hectic for me.
Yes.
I've been editing I've been finishing the edits on session 6 of Freeform Fridays. Those are what I call the 4 guitar session with Sam Dixon. So Visions of the Mojave. I got one coming called Blues for Miles. Eye of the Tiger. That's the cover we did on that session. That was such a laid back thing. We didn't even like slate because we were doing digital and we just let all the cameras run.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of Eye of the Tiger, you can actually hear Sam come through the door and the little chime on my alarm goes off. And it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
It adds flavor.
It's almost done. I finally exported the last one. What I also do with these guys is like, with the Heart by Andrea one next Saturday, we're gonna do a session. Are you around next Saturday?
What's the date?
12th.
12th.
Yes.
Please come by.
Yes.
Even if I gotta come pick you up in the morning, we're gonna record for Andrea because she came and did our session, so we're gonna do one for her YouTube channel. We're gonna record some covers. I don't entirely know I'm gonna sort all the details out this week.
What time are we doing that?
She has a hard stop at 6, but we're gonna try to get done earlier than that. What I really would like to do, I'm gonna ask her if she wants to be on the podcast, and if she can make it, great, because she does all sorts of cool things. She's got this Captain Supermom page that she's doing that's just hilarious. She dresses up as a superhero and gets really snarky about how like hard it is to be a good mother.
That sounds awesome.
It's really
It
cool.
does.
And she has a I don't know if she probably would be willing to talk about her faith. She has an interesting faith that I never really encountered until I moved out of northern Westchester. So that'll be if she wants to talk about that or not.
Yeah, you probably don't want me on the same one.
Well, you and I, the other one I've got is I got a buddy in seminary, and we're going to have a Royal Rumble here one of these days. We're going to have you and him have a debate over...
Seminary is where a lot of people become atheists.
I know.
I know
You
some
either
people
figure it out or
who
you
used to be hardcore believers until they went to seminary and learned the actual history of biblical texts, and they're like, "Wow, this is complete nonsense. Why am I wasting my life?"
I don't think you'll be able to shake Ryan, but that'll be an interesting conversation. So probably sometime in early 2017 we're gonna have that episode
Nice.
because he's got kind of a weird work schedule, so he's just not available when we record the podcast. So yeah, we got that going. We got our contracts done. Ruggero is ready to sign. That's why I've been on you about the contracts.
Mm-hmm.
We got our Heart by Andrea. Also, I'm Snapchatting.
I'm sorry.
Me too.
I don't really understand it, but I'm having fun with it. So you can go friend me on Snapchat. I think it's Get Off My Lawn Reco. I would just started typing Get Off My Lawn Records, but I ran out of characters, so just keep typing and I'll show up. And I've been broadcasting a daily 7-second motivational speech, which is basically, hey, go back to practicing. Get off Snapchat. Go practice. So
As long as we're not going to see certain portions of your anatomy on Snapchat. I'm good.
No. It's just not me.
Okay.
Yeah, Snapchat, I can't. I only have so many hours in the day. There's only so many social media platforms I can devote anything to.
Yeah, it's true. I'm just trying it. We're gonna see how it goes. You know, I like YouTube. YouTube is my favorite of the communities. That and Gear Sluts. I'm a part of the Gear Sluts community. I'll put a link in the description. It's a music gear forum. In fact, our most popular video has been analog versus digital. So we're gonna wind up doing more production style stuff. Hey, Regal Cat. All right. Well, while Regal Cat gets settled in, what's next?
Yes.
We got our announcements, our goals, and our giveaway. So the announcements are the Jazz Destroyers Live is now on Google Play and iTunes and I think Amazon. I think you can find it on Spotify. It's just everywhere. I've pushed it out into all of the digital realm. You can also buy it on iTunes. You can buy it on Bandcamp. There's a link in the description for that. We cut that back in December in a club that now is closed. We left the club's name out of it because they weren't paying their ASCAP fees. So it's just real hard for me to want to help them promote when they're not paying the fees for the music I write, right? So,
Right.
But I'm really excited about that. Also, we've got, I will have download cards. So if you see me in person, I will probably have download cards. I'm going to charge $5 for the download cards, even though the digital downloads online I think are going to go for $10. But if you see me in person, download cards will be $5. I'm working on the Volca album. Steven, pass me that box. This is super cool. Carissa and her family got me this for my birthday. It is the brand new Volca Kick. I'm very excited. Tomorrow I'm going to go up to Cody's house and I'm going to totally take over his table, and I'm going to bring the cameras, and I'm going to do an unboxing video of this. So, but this is going to wind up on the second half of the Volca album. I'm going to reperform the tape 2 here. Can you put that back? I'm going to reperform tape 2, then the album's half done. It's 4 tapes because they're 15 minutes long, and then that's 60 minutes of music. And I'm looking forward to finishing that up. We've got the MC Overlord album. Now we got our contracts done. I'll get that over to him. We got to get his band on board, and we're going to have to start our I call them project parameters. It's a scope of work, basically, even though they're not paying me. So, the Jesse Thunderwake soundtrack, I'm just having a hard time finding the masters. I will work on that. I don't have any news. It's a Secret to Nobody will be the next one to come out on iTunes and CD Baby and all of these things, right? So right now it's the Jazz Destroyers Live. Even though I've figured out a distribution network, it's still $50 every album I put out. So I got to get that one out. I'll put that one out. So that'll also have download cards for $5. And as soon as I get the duplication stuff going, I'll start making physical copies of these albums as well. We talked about the Best of Freeform Fridays. I will have that compiled sometime around while I'm editing the final session. Escape from Ignorance. We're going to bring that over to Bandcamp.
Yes.
And you're going to help me put this podcast on Stitcher.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have the website now, getoffmylawnrecords.com. So that'll be great. So tapes, CDs, all that stuff's incoming. I've got my distribution network set up. That cost a little bit of money to get set up, and now I will begin the arduous process of physically manufacturing copies. We're going to look into ways to do it affordably, and then also do some outlandish, very intricate things I'm going to charge a small fortune for.
Nice.
So, and with those, I'm going to live stream myself manufacturing them.
Oh, that'll be cool.
So everybody will know that they were handmade, and they'll actually get to see theirs being made. That'll be pretty cool.
It does sound like a lot of fun.
It'll just be me listening to tunes in the background and just sitting there with rubber cement, just putting things together. You can do some. I've been researching it. You can do some really cool DIY packaging these days. And if I'm going to charge $25 for a copy, that packaging better be cool, right? Because we live in an age where music's free.
Just means I'll have to buy 2 copies, the 25 and the other one, so that I can actually open one of them.
Hey, there you go. You're going to get a download card for free.
Oh, well, thank you.
So that'll be our weekly giveaway. If you start posting in Facebook and you start tagging the Jazz Destroyers and Get Off My Lawn Records and stuff, I should get notifications of the mentions. Or leave a comment here. And what I'll do is once I get the physical download cards delivered to me, I was hoping tonight, I got a gig tonight, we're going to go play the highball. So everybody watching this right now, they have no idea. I've already played the gig. But I thought I was going to have my download cards in time for that. I'm not. So we're going to have a conversation with CD Baby about that.
When are they supposed to get here?
They were supposed to get here. I haven't even gotten a tracking number. I'm a little upset. They're dragging their feet. So we're gonna. But once we do that, then I can give download codes to people and physical download cards as well. Mm-hmm. So Ty's getting this one. He will get the first one. I will sign it.
Nice.
We'll do the whole thing. So make sure you interact with this in some way. Leave a comment on the video. Go leave a review for Get Off My Lawn Records on Facebook. Just whatever you want to do. Just get involved and help spread the word, and then that's how we'll start doing the giveaways. Is we'll start giving away download codes.
And some people do, in fact, still pay for music. I bought 4 albums just this past week.
Good.
So it does happen.
Why was It's a Secret to Nobody not one of them?
It's on the list, man. It's on the list.
It's on the list. It's a Secret to Nobody is pay what you want.
Yeah, I would probably pay the same price I would pay for a normal album.
Throw a dollar.
I don't want to.
Throw a dollar at it. That's all I want. I made it with a $30 app on my iPad, goofing off in my chair. I'm not trying to get rich off of that one. Pay $1, go download it, and then have a listen. Just check out what I'm doing. That's all I ever ask. All right, Your Name Here. I'm still looking for some for some other acts. I've got 12 slots for 2016. I think they're about half full at this point. I really should sit down and just to like do a tracker and a spreadsheet, and my day job is starting to seep in.
Yes.
But I've learned how to keep organized. So if you know of any good bands, or if you're in an interesting band, I am soliciting submissions. But you have to indemnify me from any future plagiarism claims. I have ears and I can transcribe, and if you play something really cool, I can't help but have it seep into my playing later. But I'm not going to go steal your whole song, and I'm certainly not going to release your stuff without you paying for it, and I will certainly give you a shout out if I do that inevitably. Like, it's just every note I've played is because I've heard somebody else play it. I can't help that. That's what music is. Mm-hmm. So we're doing that. And then Heart by Andrea. I don't know what we're doing with that session. We may release that through Get Off My Lawn. I don't know. We'll talk to her about that. Okay, so what's next? Shoutouts. So this is actually my second favorite section. I love shoutouts because I talk about myself and my project and everything so much. So but subscribe, because we don't just talk about me, and hit the thumbs up so it'll show this to other people. What we do with the shoutouts is we list 3 things that we want to shout out that aren't things that we are personally invested in. Right? So, darling, why don't you start? Do you have a shout out for Regal Cat there?
I do have a
she
shout.
looks cute.
I do have a shout out for Regal Cat, and I have a shout out for Research Pet and Bird Hospital.
Oh, in Austin, Texas, Research Pet and Bird,
who are wonderful and take very good care of Regal Cat and Studio Cat. And yes.
Oh, that's a happy kitty.
They are very nice and very understanding that this little one does not like the vet at all.
It's funny, she is the sweetest cat in the house, and when you get her into the vet, she is hellspawn.
I think that's just a rule of cats.
The weird thing is, Studio Cat, when he is in the house, he's kind of a complainer. I call him Woody Allen. Because he just kind of like walks around just complaining about everything. Yeah. And then you bring him to the vet, and he's just the most polite little gentleman. He's so cute at the vet. He's like, okay.
He like rubs against the vet and the vet techs. And
that's weird.
Yeah.
It's like his brain's wired backwards. When he's afraid, he snuggles. It's the cutest thing.
It's adorable.
It is adorable. So Regal Cat, what other shout outs? Research Pet and Bird.
Research Pet and Bird, Regal Cat. And then after some of the discussion we've had today, I'd like to give a shout out to my mom and dad.
Yes.
For being awesome and raising me to basically question everything and allowing me to question everything and not trying to brainwash me at any point in my life. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
That's right. And I think they subscribed.
Did they?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
You're going to have to call them. You're going to have to walk them through subscribing. We really need to get to the 100 subscribers. So tell somebody. Because, the funny thing is the Jazz Destroyers, I think we're up to 139 or 140.
I think they just subscribed to the Jazz Destroyers. So
I know they subscribed to that. So they need to subscribe to this one, too.
Okay.
But with the 140 on the Jazz Destroyer, I really stopped at 100. I just kind of let it roll now, right? I still talk about it. I still pump it out on Facebook, but most of my time on Facebook is me just shouting from the rooftops about this podcast. And what I love about this podcast is we shout out other projects. It's very collaborative. So, Stephen, what are your 3 shout-outs? You're pretty good at these.
Well, I don't have anything local, but there's 3 movies that I've seen this past week that I want to call attention to because they're all music-related. 2 of them are extremely obscure, and one of them everybody has heard of.
Okay.
The big one, obviously, is Doctor Strange. I cannot geek out enough
Put your hand up. We'll
about
put a
this
card
movie.
on the clip. There you go.
Like, I love Doctor Strange so much. It's one of my all-time favorite comic book characters. 10 years ago, if you had asked me if there would ever be a live-action, big-budget Doctor Strange movie with A-caliber actors, I would have bet money against that.
And that was Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yes.
Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Think so.
The other,
That should be right.
but the entire cast is just phenomenal. Like the 4 main leads are some of the best like eye actors in the business. And these are actors that can give you an entire monologue just with their eyes without saying a word.
Maybe that's why I don't like comic book movies.
Well, that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
But Doctor Strange himself, the character, is a huge music buff, so he's constantly tossing out obscure music trivia in the movie as part of the script, which is really fun. And it's such a beautiful adaptation. Like, it is the most visually astounding movie you are going to see this year. It's like if MC Escher dropped acid and then fell into a blacklight painting, that's basically what this movie is.
Now, did you see it in 3D or did you see it in 2D?
The movie has been out for 2 days, and I've seen it 3 times.
Oh, you've got a problem, my friend.
I'm also seeing it again tonight and again tomorrow. So it's
You're
a
a
real
maniac.
You have
It's a real
way too much free time.
But I've seen it twice in 3D, once in 2D. It was really good in both venues, but the 3D is astounding. I'm also biased, though, because here in Austin we have the Alamo Drafthouse, which has amazingly well-calibrated 3D projectors, so the 3D looks great.
And a shout out to Alamo Drafthouse, because Highball is attached to the South Lamar location.
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
And they have us there, and they've been great to us.
Yes.
That is the venue where it feels the most like home. So a shout out to Steve and Keith and everybody out there. Yeah, Alamo.
Yeah, it is a great menu. But the other reason Doctor Strange is special for me is that I'm the biggest Marvel obsessive in the world. The MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is my favorite thing ever because I've been lusting for this long-form, interconnected crossover storytelling in cinema, the way comics do, and I'm finally getting it. But we can all hum the John Williams Superman theme or the Star Wars theme or the Indiana Jones theme. Like, there's these classic themes in movie history that just drill into your brain. And Marvel has made 14 movies now and have been tragically lacking a single memorable signature theme song for any of their characters. Like, nobody can hum for me the Iron Man theme or the Captain America theme or the Thor theme because they don't have one.
I'm just
Doctor
saying,
Strange.
I just want to point this out. I am available to score films. I have done it.
And his music, like, this man can pull something amazing out of nothing. It's awesome.
I can write in that context of the orchestral up behind you there, and one of those is my old orchestration book where I learned how to orchestrate.
Nice.
It is tough. I should point out that John Williams is a little bit of a thief. Wagner. It's so much of that.
Well, weren't you
great stuff.
just saying like 5 minutes ago that
know.
everything you played is something someone else has played?
I know. I would like to think that I don't steal ideas that blatantly. That because like Tatooine is like a straight up lift from Rite of Spring. It's almost identical. So I don't know. I have issues with John Williams, but he is one of the greats of all time. I'm just saying, hey, give me Howard Shore.
Howard Shore is amazing.
Howard Shore did Lord of the Rings.
And The Fly, a very underrated score from him.
That's right.
But Doctor Strange has Michael Giacchino
Okay.
as the composer. He's one of the great working composers. He did all the music for Lost,
Okay.
did music for things like Up and The Incredibles, and it's the first truly memorable, riveting Marvel score. Like, when Strange first shows up in his full costume and the theme music kicks in, if your hairs aren't standing up, then this is obviously not the movie for you.
Gotcha.
The other two, really obscure movies. One is a New Zealand film called Deathgasm.
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 And
Okay.
That sounds
What
fun.
a way to go.
this
Yeah.
This man chose his own
this
way to
movie
die.
is so metal. Like, if you are a metalhead and you haven't seen this movie, you are denying yourself a joy in life. Because the premise is basically that this rock bottom of the barrel metal band in New Zealand accidentally finds this ancient piece of heavy metal music that literally summons a demon who starts ravaging the world. And it's awesome. It's fairly low budget. You can tell this was a movie a bunch of guys shot over 100 weekends. So it has that early Peter Jackson kind of charm to
100
it.
weekends?
I'm not sure if that's literal, but it just
I was
has
gonna say, that's
that.
2 years.
It has that look of a bunch of guys shooting this whenever they could when they weren't at their day jobs. But that gives it a certain charm and a certain awesomeness, and it's just great.
You know what else has that certain charm and awesomeness?
What's that?
Put your left hand up again. Jesse Thunderwake. Jesse
Yes,
Thunderwake
yes, he
took
does.
about 3 years of my life. Though actual production was only, I think, 6 or 12 weeks, but we did a whole daily YouTube series. Nearly killed me. That's why we do these we record once a week here, because I can't record daily anymore.
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
We were maniacs. We had a few of them go viral. All right, so we got that. And then what's the third one?
So the third one is going way back in time to the early 80s. And so my boss recently had a birthday, and he rented the Draft House for his birthday brunch and to show a special movie.
Can I just like follow him around and pick up his pocket change as it falls out of him?
right. And this was a movie it's an animated movie, and it was made in the 80s by an obscure production company, and it's one of those movies that really walks the line between being for kids and being for adults.
Uh-oh.
Like they couldn't quite tell what they wanted their audience to be.
Yeah.
It was a complete bomb at the time, sadly, because I think parents were really put off by it because it is so dark and weird and kind of twisted.
What is it?
But it's called Rock and Rule, and the premise is
that
that
Don Bluth?
in this post-apocalyptic future,
Kicking that.
the human race has gone extinct. Household pets have evolved into humanoid creatures. So all the characters are future evolutions of cats and dogs and pigs and rats. So the character designs are all really weird for that. And it's about this obscure band that's not finding what they want. And the sort of evil superpower sorcerer guy who's kind of in charge of the world has been looking for this one perfect mystical voice that will allow him to summon a demon. So music summoning demons is like the theme for this. And he sort of accidentally sees her singing in a lounge act, realizes that she's the magic voice he's been looking for. He kidnaps her, and most of the movie is about the band trying to hunt them down and steal back their lead singer. And it's so weird and interesting and different, and I can't believe it got made at all. And the main villain is based on this mashup of Iggy Pop and Mick Jagger.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And it's weird and quirky and twisted and amazing. And the big finale, even though I feel like it brought me to tears. It's just like the movies. It took me a long time for the first half of the movie. I'm like, I'm not sure if I like this, and then by the finale, I was like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I got to give a shout out to Rock and Rule.
Awesome. Ty, what are your we talk? So this is the first time Ty's been on the show. I've known Ty a long time. But he was asking me about the shout-outs. I'm not sure he understood the parameters of it. What did you have for your shout-outs?
Well, first up shout-outs. I'm going to do this local. Well, I found it local. It's Aldecoa Coffee.
Aldecoa Coffee.
God, they're cost efficient. All right, how much do you normally pay? Do you drink a lot of coffee? Do you use a Keurig?
Nope.
At the stores, generally a 12-pack of the K-Cups costs like $11-12.
Oh,
These are a little bit under $6 for a 12-pack of these. They have coffees from around the world: Costa Rica, Ethiopia, Sumatra, Colombia, and they're just these amazing local coffees that they blow my mind every single time I put one in. And they're good coffee at half the price of everyone else. And now that I've said this, they're going to be vanishing from the store shelves everywhere.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure. We get such a viewership here on these.
So that sounds really cool because my work uses a Keurig machine, and I'm so sick of the flavors they've got. So if I can bring them in.
Yeah, talk them into buying you a couple boxes of it.
Yeah. Someone else will try it, and then all of yours will vanish.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's pretty cool. What else you got?
IKEA. I put together a bed from there. Took me 4 hours to take my old bed apart, 45 minutes to put the new one together.
Nice.
That's not bad.
Slept better last night than I had in last 6 months, probably.
It's great. IKEA's great. You have some IKEA stuff, don't you?
No.
See, this desk, this one here, I got that from IKEA. I think it was $15. And when I was shopping at IKEA, I was more concerned about the bottom line than what it looked like. Like, you guys are sitting on IKEA chairs.
They're great.
They are great. Though for folding chairs, they fold backwards, so everybody goes, I don't understand.
Swedish.
This little thing of drawers here, that's IKEA.
Mm-hmm. The coffee table downstairs is IKEA.
Yep, that's right. And we used to have those end tables. Yeah, the
end tables, though the table we've currently got our
almost all of
the great thing about
almost all
IKEA furniture is it's really designed for people that move, because you put it together, you take it apart, put it together, take it apart, put it together. And they've gotten better about being taken apart than they used to. So, yeah, hell yeah, IKEA's great.
IKEA is great. Almost all of our furniture is IKEA.
Yeah.
I think our desks came from a different store, but everything else, Like it's just great price, great product.
There you go. What's your third shout
My
out?
third shout out is to one of my girlfriends,
Okay.
Luna Benton. She's an artist. She does webcomics, and she's got a couple pages of, I think a couple pages. I know the first one for sure, maybe the second one for her new comic, Succubusted.
Suck you busted.
It's not safe for work, so.
But there'll still be a link in the
I
description.
would hope not
And,
with a name like that.
What I'm gonna get, I'm gonna give you a link to her Tumblr. It has links to all of her other work and all the other blogs. Because, online, she is Squid Vicious,
Gotcha.
Nice.
and she's great and amazing, and I love her art so much.
Does she know that she's not
Getting a
your only girlfriend?
Yes, because
Legend.
I'm polyamorous, and I have 2 girlfriends that live with me, and they are also dating each other.
That's a fun Friday night.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure it's a little rough every once in a while too.
It does get rough sometimes, but it's all about communication, honesty, and openness.
There you go.
Yep.
So I got my 3 shout outs. I got to look at the board here. Oh, yes. My first shout out is to David Tronzo. Now, if you don't know who David Tronzo is, Google. I don't have a good singular link. He's a presence.
Yes.
I studied with him in college. Sam, who was on some of the Freeform Fridays videos, he goes to Berkeley too. And I said, you need to go follow Dave Tronzo around. Just follow him around and just start peppering him with questions. And Sam is kind of a shy kid, and I had to prod him for like he just talked to Tronzo. So I sent a note to Tronzo. I said, hey, thanks for talking to Sam. I think he's great. He's a huge part of the kind of music I make today, why I make it, why I still practice, because let's face it, I am just always trying to live up to what he would have potentially been able to get me to if we could have figured out how to teach me. It was very frustrating for him, but he's great, and he's a great guitarist, and you should listen to him. My other one is Wachi. I will put a link. It's a new band in Austin from my friend Joanna. And she's got there's a mini grant she's working with. We're going to have a link to in the description as well. It helps programs that help kids be outdoors and active. So if you have an organization that could use a mini grant and you're helping kids get outdoors and active, there will be a link for you. And then my third shout out is to Kenny Dorham's Backyard. Speaking of nonprofits, right?
Yes.
Kenny Dorham's Backyard and Harold, it's just the best. Harold runs Diverse Arts Culture Works, which runs Kenny Dorham's Backyard. And when we shot the videos, we did about 20 minutes after the show, and we just had him kind of talk to the crowd. So we're going to put that up, and he really kind of talks about the mission and how great it is. But I'm also going to put a link up to how to donate. So if anybody's got an extra $5, throw it their way. They could really use the help. They're really trying to keep that East Austin thing. The reason East Austin is gentrifying is because of these great things like Kenny Dorham's Backyard. And we're just trying to keep this one alive before they get pushed out. They had a big fight a couple years ago with the city because somebody wanted to build some condos, and it's a nice little piece of land, blah, blah, blah. But go check that out. And there's a Friends of Kenny Dorham's Backyard Facebook where they post all the gigs and all the stuff that they're doing. The Jazz Destroyers play there from time to time, but they got all sorts of cool stuff that goes through there. And it's just great. So that's our shout-outs. If you have something you want shouted out, leave a comment in the video, and I will try to shout it out next week. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, though at this point you're so far in, probably have. All right, what's next? This is our broad topic. Did I get the... Oh, look at that. That's all sorts of wrong.
Yes.
I'm working on Keynote. I'll get better at it. So pay-to-play schemes. Steven, you're a photographer. You ever encounter any of these pay-to-play schemes?
So to me, the phrase "pay to play" is so inexplicably linked to politics that I'm not sure how it applies to any other context.
Really?
Yeah, like because all I think about when I hear "pay to play" is
It's
politics.
just quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially since that's an accusation that's been thrown around a lot this election, and I'm so deep in election coverage, I'm not sure how it applies to.
What I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. I think everybody understands how pay to play works in politics. It's wrong. It's usually if it's not already outlawed, it ought to be. Right.
Pay to play
Yeah.
in general, whether it's politics or not, is just wrong.
It's just wrong. But let's talk about so I wanted to talk about a couple of the examples I've come across in my days as a musician, and then I think from there you'll understand what I'm talking about. And Ty, if you've got any examples, please.
I'll chime in if I got it.
Yeah. So the first one, the most common pay-to-play scheme you'll see as a musician, the thing to avoid is these places that say, okay, we're going to put you on the bill with like 6 other bands, and we're going to give you a packet of tickets, but the packet of tickets are going to cost $5. So you have to give us $5 to get the tickets. Now, when you go sell these tickets, we're going to keep the first 15 ticket sales, and then we'll pay you a portion after that. It just turns into you're going to pay us to get on stage. If a band is paying a venue to get on stage, it is pay to play. So I actually brought an artifact. I've done it once.
Oh, you found the tickets?
I had them. I don't know where they went. Little orange guys. Well, anyway, there's
Yeah, I don't know where they are either.
I did one of these, and I was so furious because if he would have told me that he was going to keep the first 15 tickets, I would have turned the gig down. That's a terrible deal. Oh, we're going to split the money after you keep the first 15? And then, by the way, they're going to put 6 bands on stage, and if everybody sells 15, the place is at capacity. So it's a big ol' scam. There's a couple of companies that do it that I want to call out individually. The first is Bridging the Music. The big way to tell that Bridging the Music is a scam is because they focus so much about how much they give to charity. Right? Get Off My Lawn Records is a for-profit business. But I try to do things transparently, honestly, and in a way where nobody's getting screwed. But we are for-profit. We're not going to talk about how much we give to charity. I give to charity what I can give to charity, and I highlight the charities that I think everybody should give to. But if part of your business model is we're going to give X amount to charity, then, or if you're looking at a business and they're bragging about how much they give to charity, they're probably ripping you off in that process.
Oh,
And
there it is.
so be aware.
Right down against the desk there.
There it is. Yeah. So here's one of the tickets. And look, this guy would have printed these off on his printer at home, taken a paper cutter, cut them up. $5? Are you kidding me? And
No,
then
it sounds like a complete ripoff.
it's
Yeah,
a complete
it does.
ripoff. And then there's Bridging the Music, and I've talked to them a couple of times, and I got to a point where they would call. Be like, hey, you think you can get some people out to a show? Yeah, I think I can get some people out to a show, but you're not going to profit off of the people I bring to the show. I'm okay with you keeping the money from the people you bring to the show. But don't take the people that I bring, because that's a leech. Right? The companies can leech. So that's the first example of pay-to-play. The other example with live music and pay-to-play that I've come across recently is these places that charge for board feeds. So when you're playing at in a bar, right? They'll have a board kind of like this one. They'll have all their microphones plugged in, and then there's a couple of outputs that would go to something like this. And you could bring your own, plug it in, hit record, get on stage, and hey, at the end of the night, you got a nice little recording of what you did. Some places charge $50 for just 2-track, for just the mix. This one place I played, they wanted $200 for the multi-track. And I'm going, studio time is $300 a day in this town, right? Like, what are you doing? So, and then I started asking around. I said, has anybody else encountered this? And in certain towns, in LA and Nashville, very common. These are towns that are very notorious for pay-to-play. But But then at the same time, I talked to a guy who sold me this very cool snare drum, the red one.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see in future videos. He said, yeah, here's how that works. Basically what happens is eventually they don't book the bands that aren't paying for the recording. So now you're paying $200. You're not gonna make $200 selling $10 at the door on a Sunday night. So now you're paying to get on stage again. If you are paying to get on stage, avoid it at all costs. There are better ways to do it. Get hooked up with charities. Get hooked up with your neighborhood. Go put on a neighborhood show for free. Don't go pay to go play at some terrible dive bar or some second-rate coffee shop. Right? Just go play. Find the audience by going where people are and playing. After you've acquired a certain size of audience or a certain proficiency, then you can actually have places pay you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's called a guarantee, and that's the kind of stuff we do. And I'm not going to be able to make a living doing that 7 nights a week. So that's why we have to do the label, and that's why we have to do all these other things. But at least I'm getting paid something, and even if they're paying me poorly, I'm not paying them. So avoid those.
Yes.
Then that brings to the other pay-to-play, which is, we used to see it a lot in the early days of iTunes, and and now that the tools have gotten very streamlined, it's a little different. But there are record labels where you have to provide the master recording, the mastered recording. It has to be done before they will even touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're gonna sell it for you and keep a cut.
Yeah, it's pressing and distribution deals.
Pressing and distribution, right? Well, guess what? The only reason you should ever enter into that is if they're going to spend money marketing you. Because if all they're going to do is pop it onto iTunes, you can do that yourself for $50.
Yeah, that pressing and distribution deals made more sense back before iTunes. Because then, it was actually manufacturing the discs, getting it out into the record stores.
Right.
It was worthwhile, especially, and it happened a lot more between like really small labels and then the majors.
Yeah.
That's where the pressing and distribution deals came in more because, then...
Because the small label would put up the money to make the recording, and then they would basically outsource the manufacturing to the larger label.
And the distribution, yeah.
Yeah. But there's also these, I've run into these online magazines where you got to pay $50 to be reviewed. That's a pay-to-play scheme.
Yeah.
I once tried it, didn't do anything for me, but one time a radio show said, yeah, we'll feature your music. Okay, great. $50. Oh. Well, let's try it. And you try it, and I listened to the radio show, and they played 10 seconds of the thing, and sure, they shouted us out, but not a sale, not a Facebook like, not a Twitter follower, nothing. So don't go paying people to do this stuff. Build an audience the hard way, and you'll build a better audience.
There's no shortcuts.
There are no shortcuts.
It's just like on Twitter. I've been at this Escape from Ignorance Twitter feed for a long time, and I'm up to around 370 followers.
Hey, way to go!
And that was a slog to build that. But I'm also not doing anything weird to get... I'm not following any of those services about getting new followers because I want my followers to come for the content.
Right.
And whenever you pay for these, for $100, we'll get you 10,000 followers. Well, maybe 5 of those guys are actually interested in what I'm offering. And I'll find those 5 guys for free.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not worried about social media numbers.
Good things in life take time and are never easy to do.
Right.
The other one, as a photographer, I've run into these before where it's like these book deals. Back before self-publishing became a little more automated and streamlined, where these companies would come and say, oh yeah, we'll make books for you, but you're going to have to pay $150 first for setup fees or stuff. Mm-hmm. That's another example of a pay-to-play.
Yeah, photography has, photography is really hard as a profession right now because the iPhone and Android.
Yep.
You can take photos with the iPhone 7 that are ridiculous, even if you have no photography knowledge.
I take lots of great photos.
The tools are so good. And for me, the photography thing is way more of a glorified hobby because I have zero interest in the ridiculous amount of work it requires to make a career out of it. I'm able to make money off of it because I'm able to sell a very specific type of niche content that there's an audience for. But I'm fairly lucky that I found my way into that. And I don't do client-based work. It's like I have this particular thing I like to do, and there's people who happen to like it and are willing to pay for it. And if not for that arrangement, I wouldn't bother with it.
So wait, when you do your photography stuff, and I know you kind of keep a line drawn with this stuff. We can promote it or not. It's up to you. But with your photography stuff, so you say you don't do client-based. So how is that model working for you? What is the model then?
Well, the model is that there's an audience for a certain type of content, and
Right.
there's venues that let me post that type of content for sale to that audience, and
Okay.
then I just make direct sales, or sometimes subscription kind of stuff where I put out certain amounts of content per month, and that works really well as a nice little bit of supplemental income.
And do you
And
split it
since
with
it's the kind of stuff that now for me it's direct like so there's some websites that I'll sell to. Well, they'll take like a 15% cut. That's fine. And then but I have my own site where it's 100% profit from that. And so that's just how I do it. But the only reason it works is because this is the type of content that I just want to make for fun.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I'm able to then turn around and sell it is really nice. But it's sort of one of those stars aligned kind of things where I just happen to be into this type of thing that other people happen to be willing to pay for, and it works out beautifully. But like I would never do like wedding photography or anything like that because it's just an insane level of stress. And that even though the money is good.
No, I got you in touch with the realtor.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great, by the way. You should work with him. I think you would learn a lot about photography doing architectural photography that you hadn't considered before doing subject-based photography, like doing lives, like because you mostly photograph people.
Right. Though I've done real estate photography before, and it's fun, but I despise the kind of legwork that is necessary to maintain that kind of work. I hate talking to 30 guys to find the one guy who needs something. Like, I just can't stand it. Like, that's the kind of process that if I have to go through that fishing process, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to find something else, some other
You're
way to
going to
spend
go
my
through
time.
the fishing process specifically for what you want to do.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
what we're doing. We're really just trying to find people that are interested in the kind of music we make.
Exactly.
Right? And that's why I've been thinking about this P&D thing a lot, right? Because I do have this distribution network set up. I could just take on projects, push it out to iTunes, and then keep a small cut off the top of it. But at that point, I'm a leech.
Yeah. You know,
But
if-
at the same time, if something's really cool and it's already done, let me know. And if you're like, yeah, I'm okay with you leeching because you're going to help me market the thing, that's a little different. But at this, I don't want to build the foundation of Get Off My Lawn Records off of that. I want to build
Right.
it on, we're going to actually do the recordings in-house. We're going to do the whole production in-house. Literally.
Now,
So,
one other scheme that this conversation made
Yeah.
me think of is in the graphic design world.
okay.
There is this sort of infectious disease of contest art where a company will say, "Oh, we want a logo designed. Hey, graphic designers, design this logo for us," and they'll solicit, all these free entries, and they'll pick the one they want and pay that guy a pittance. So you have all these people that might have poured their heart and soul into this effort, and they're almost guaranteed to get nothing out of it because you've got 500 entries or 5,000 entries, only one guy's going to win.
Yeah.
And because they solicited it for free, they feel like they can get away with paying the winner far less than industry rates. And I know there's a lot of artists who do this kind of stuff to try to get exposure, but I would tell any of them, don't do it.
I
You're
did-
just wasting your time, and no one is ever going to care about that stuff if you're not the winner. And it's just a way for the companies to exploit artists.
and in a lot of those contests, the way the rules are written, the company basically owns all of the designs that don't get picked as well.
That's what I was about to say. And so they save those, have their in-house artists work on them, and then suddenly you see your art with a tweak you got on their thing, and you're like, wait, I said you could use it for that contest. I didn't say.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I didn't read the TOS.
Well, I will say this, because we're gonna need a bunch of images for the label, right? What would warm my heart is if anybody wants to donate the time and do stuff, right?
Well, that's different, right?
Otherwise,
Like,
I'm
yeah,
stuck doing it myself because I have no money. But I take good photos. I have an Instagram. You can follow the Jazz Destroyers on Instagram. I take all sorts of good-looking photos.
Yeah, but I think it's completely legit to say, hey, guys, I've got no money, but I really love to get smart. Is there anybody who's excited by this and wants to contribute something?
And all I would
And-
ask is, whoever's doing that, I would bring them in as part of the project, which, from a contractual level, has has a monetary cut involved. I think a singular photographer for a project. I think a band is okay with bringing him on as an extra band member, if you will. I'm structuring my contract based on even splits with everybody. So the tough part is, like, I've also had bad experiences with artists when I work with them directly. That's if I was to go through, let's say, 10 of these experiences that I've gone through trying to hire artists directly, yeah, eventually you're like, yeah, let's make a contest. It's hard for a company to find those, because so many artists aren't actively making contact with these companies. Like, hey, do you need any artistic content? When you do, let me know, and we'll work out a reasonable rate that will help keep your bottom line involved. And it could work out. But yeah, the contest one, because we're going to do a remix contest once we have the content I want to do to remix, and we're totally going to open it up. But I'm just going to split it with everybody when we put the compilation together and make it for sale. Whoever wins will be paid off of the sales of it. This whole, like, win $500 or whatever, it's silly.
Have you tried talking to your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. But not every project is going to be the right fit for what she does as an
Sure.
artist. Not every project, you know what I mean? That's how this goes.
I've seen your mom work in multiple formats, and that's why.
My mother works in all sorts of formats. My mother's an artist.
Nice.
My downstairs is basically a gallery of her work, with a couple of exceptions.
Yeah, the
Like
one over the
yeah.
kitchen table.
The
is
one
not
over the
hers.
kitchen table is not
that
her.
one is not.
But like the one in the kitchen is hers.
The art all around is real good.
I like to think I have taste. I also really have we have some prints, but I'm not as into prints and lithographs as I am as, like, I would rather a local artist have painted something than a yet another print of, like, a Klimt or a print of a Klunberg. Obviously, I'm making a league reference, but you know what I mean. I'd rather have original art that was done than a poster of a famous piece of art in my house. So, but that part's hard because a lot of artists you put so much time into a painting and they want to be paid. I get it, but that's why we have to prioritize our money, buy the things we can, and really just not buy everything. But we all have limited resources. We have to prioritize things.
Yep.
All right, so that's the kind of pay-to-play stuff that I've encountered. You'll get record labels that want to charge you for production. What? A record label? If you're talking to a record label and they're talking about you giving them money, that is not a record label.
Most record labels, you don't necessarily give them money, but they will take it out
Sure.
of sales.
And major labels
So-
have operated under that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's-
we have recoupable costs because it cost me $2 to physically manufacture thing. Like, we've worked it out. It's all going to be in the contract on the website. I want everybody to know what the contract everybody signed is. I want the audience to know what the contract is. I want every band to know what every other band's contract is. Because it's all going to be the same contract. It's simple. It's a couple of pages. I'm just so sick of watching musicians get ripped off. It just bothers me. So share this one to your musician friends, your artist friends. I'm sure there's got to be writer pay-to-play schemes. Anybody who you're worried about getting suckered into one of these, any creative, they're
I've
all
encountered
susceptible.
one of the writer ones, not me personally.
What's
but,
this?
Some of my family paid. Like, oh yeah, you want to get your book done? Sure. Or oh, you want to get it edited? You've just got a raw manuscript. We would love to publish your book.
But we need to pay for the editing.
We need you to pay for this first. We need you to pay for that first. And then next thing you know, you've put $500, $600, $700, $800 into this company, and then you get shipped a box of paperbacks, and they're like, now remember, you have to order at least you have to do at least 3 orders.
Yep. That's a really good example of these pay-to-plays. The way it is now, though, the great thing about the internet is it has destroyed the ability for these guys to go do this, at least on a large scale.
Yeah,
You're
like with
really
Amazon.
suckering people.
Like the print-on-demand stuff you can get from Amazon looks so professional and slick now that if you're an author, just go to Amazon and get it put on there if you can't get through a major publisher, because then just do direct promotion. You'll be far more likely to get something.
Yeah.
Right, and it's better to have made like $40 than to have lost $500. And I do get the whole, you need to invest in yourself, you need to invest in the project. In fact, in our contract, we budget heavily for marketing. I always say, make it for free, spend the money trying to sell it. Right? That's the way to do it. Because ultimately, like, and if you look at these like things like The Voice, if they want you to send a professional recording, that's also a pay-to-play scheme. Right? If they want you to send in a professional recording in order to get an audition slot on The Voice, well, who's paying for that professional recording?
Right.
If they can't hear that you're good from the phone recording, it's not worth it. So send this to somebody, show somebody. These are a lot of good things to keep an eye out for in the industry. There's just, anytime you get a group of people who are creative and undercompensated, we're all going to start looking for shortcuts. There's a whole industry on YouTube on how to get more views. There's literally a whole genre of video, basically, of how to get more YouTube views. And those videos are getting millions of views. That's an interesting thought, isn't it? I could probably do better telling people how to get more views on YouTube than actually doing what I'm doing here. All right, what's next? Everybody gets a trophy. This is my favorite section. So, Ty, I don't know that you've listened through all the way, so we're not entirely sure if you know how this works. But Steven certainly knows how this works. So I want to give Steven the Fandom Award, because I have never heard anybody geek out about Doctor Strange that hard, man. Way to go.
All right, I'm excited now.
There you go.
All right, well, I am going to give Carissa the Long Suffering Award.
The Long Suffering Award.
Suffering Award. Thank you.
Pretty good.
I would like to give Ty the award for having the best T-shirt that's ever appeared on this podcast.
Yes, this T-shirt is so much win.
I wish you could wear that at work.
Really
We don't talk
fantastic.
about the day jobs, but that for what you do for your day job, that makes total sense.
I have about 6 shirts in a similar vein to this that I just can't wear to work. So every morning I get up and there's those first 6 shirts in my closet, and I'm like, and then move on to the polos and the decent ones.
Yep.
And Dawn,
Yes.
I am going to give you the Works Too Hard Award.
I do. I work really hard.
Yes.
And really, I would love if everybody would just take a little bit of time out of their day to tell somebody about what we're doing, and then I could work just a little less hard at doing it myself. But I'm a maniac, so let's be honest, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. I don't actually foresee you working less hard, even if you get more views.
I get it from my grandfather, who
If
was the
you-
first one in the family to speak English.
Nice.
I-
That old German work ethic, it's just bred into me.
I really believe that if you could find ways to put even more into it
I
and
would.
into the label, you would without question, and you'd smile and be just as awesome
Yep.
as you are now.
And God help us if I ever get to go full time doing this. Right? That's probably when it would really take off, is when I could actually spend 10, 12, 14 hours a day on it. Right now I only get to spend 5-6 hours a day on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's including time I practice. Yes, practice. Pick up your instrument and practice.
Practice
Pick up
makes
your
perfect.
camera Practice. Pick up a typewriter and practice. Practice. I'm on Snapchat giving everybody these pep talks every day. Just go practice.
Yeah, if you're a writer, write something every day.
Every
if you
day.
are an artist, draw or design something every day. Because it doesn't, like, every day you don't, your talent erodes. It's
Right.
not innate. It's not going to stay there waiting for you.
Right. Like Casey Neistat, who's got a big problem these days, but he he's a big YouTuber.
Oh.
And he makes a fully produced video every day. But I don't know.
That's right.
But I want to give the final award to the audience, to you guys, because you made it all the way to the end of this video. So way to go, guys. You get the Patience Award. And on that note,